new era of premium performance.
Yeah, and he's going 32 miles an hour through these corners, and I was like, oh man, he's going really tight through these corners, and then, oh, man.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back, frenemy Brian Larson.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jeff.
We're catching you before you head off to Paris. What's going on in Paris, man?
Yeah, no, after all of these years, I am excited to be a member of Team USA at Para Track Cycling World Championship. So after my accident a couple of years ago, we've talked about it on this channel, the journey back leads to this. We're going to Worlds, and I get to represent the USA.
Dude, so proud of you. Obviously pulling for you. And it's been a journey. A lot of the longtime fans who are listening to this now are going to know it's been over the course of years. So, such an accomplishment to wear the Stars and Stripes. We're super proud of you. But today, this is not a track event. This is a criterium. And this is footage sent in by a fan of the channel, Steve. Sassoon Harbor criterium. Probably the closest thing to a track race for Crit Boys, though, to be honest. Look at that course. This is a 4-corner, what is almost a track event. It is smooth corners. You can take them at speed. I think it's only 1 kilometer, generally really fast. And Steve has no teammates. He's racing for himself today. He is a Cat 4-5. Check that. Cat 5 does not exist anymore. I learned today it is Cat 4 novice and is a 40-50 plus masters field. Steve comes from Zwift Racing, and we're going to talk more about that later, and I have some thoughts on coming from Zwift Racing. Nothing wrong with that, but Steve has so much fitness. He quickly got through all the categories in Zwift. He was winning A races, and he's prepared for this moment when they're blowing the whistle. He's about to get shot out of a cannon at the start line. And wait a second.
Wait, did you press play?
Wait a second.
What's happening right now? Steve. The race started. It's now, right now.
He's like connecting his power meter to his computer, thinking that this is a Swift race.
Oh no!
He got it. He clipped in. He made it, and now it's just panic. Oh my god, this actually is pretty scary because, I mean, if they turn on the heat at the front of the race at the beginning, this could be over. And he didn't need to coast for that corner. We're going to talk about his cornering a bit more, but Brian said something funny earlier, Zwift has prepared him for this moment because Zwift is known for such hard start racing.
It sure has, and you know, I will say that he got lucky. The pack wasn't going ballistic. He gets up to the pack and he takes a moment here, and he spends actually quite some time here kind of learning the flow of the race. He didn't overcompensate and go all the way to the front, even though he kind of went a little bit crazy there after he finally got that cleat in. But he does take some time and kind of learn the flow of the pack. And I think we'll just pick this up in a few kilometers once he gets back up to the front of the race and tries to see what that Zwift fitness has done for him.
But first, really quick, wanted to thank the sponsor of this video, and that is Harry's. Harry's delivers shaving products to your door. But here's what separates Harry's apart from the rest. They place an emphasis on quality and sustainability. Their starter set comes with a precision German-engineered 5-blade razor, protective blade cover, a high-quality handle made with 50% recycled plastics that actually has some heft to it, feels good in the hand, and of course, foaming shave gel suitable for even sensitive skin containing ingredients like aloe. Best of all, they give back 1% of all sales to non-profit organizations, all while maintaining a very affordable price. So look, guys, sign up now to receive your starter kit for just $5 using this link, which I've also put down in the description. And then you just don't have to worry about shaving products anymore. The good stuff conveniently arrives at your door. And with that said, back to the race. All right, a few kilometers into this race, and there's one rider off the front. Steve's got all this fitness. Brian, what do you do with all this fitness?
Yeah, you use the Lessling shot, and you hit it when the doors open on that right there, and oh man.
Front rider's slowing down, and he hits it hard.
Really hard, and actually does a really great job with that corner, much polar opposite of the start of this race, and this corner as well.
Right? I was going to say, for coming from Zwift, those look pretty solid, actually. He's at 900 watts. He is excited to get across that solo rider.
Yeah, and I think, it is important to know that, on a tight course like this, when I first watched this, I couldn't even see the rider off the front because you only have to be a few seconds up the road and you're out of sight, out of mind, and he gets across to this other rider, and when you get into a breakaway, you need to remember that your breakaway companion is now your friend. You don't hit him with 700 watts as soon as you pass him.
It's hard to watch. I know, because like Brian, you said it perfectly. Like, and not only he's gapping him off. This guy who is now in the rear cam has been off the front by himself for a long time. And you guys need to work together if you're going to make a successful breakaway. So like Brian said, you don't just smash and like drop him, because you guys have to work together for this to work out. So eventually he comes back on, and they have this gap. It's a pretty serious effort that Steve's committed, and he elbows him through, but it's like the guys, they're down at 22 miles an hour now. He doesn't really get back into the draft very efficiently. You saw he spiked it up to 700 watts. So like, this is the result of Zwift racing. I mean, he has a really good fitness. He's able to make this happen, but there's this nuance in bike racing that you can't really, in real life bike racing, that you can't really get across in the virtual Zwift world. Yeah, these corners are hard to watch, right? It's the cornering, and it's like this nuance of like, how efficiently can we preserve our energy, because that's the name of the game in bike racing. And here we have in the rear camera, epic mustache. Look at that mustache, man. Yes, officer. He jumps across, and now they have this group of 3, which is looking like quite promising. This is a good breakaway course for the reason Brian said earlier, which is it's easy to get out of sight, out of mind. So they have to work together. But these corners are less than ideal. You can see the rider in front of him was coasting. He took an outside line. I mean, they gave up a second, maybe 2 seconds through this series of corners. And I know what you're thinking, like, Jeff, that's 1 or 2 seconds. What's the big deal? You hit these series of corners like every 30 seconds on this course, maybe even less. Every 20 seconds you hit a series of corners. So if you can save a second on every corner, by the time you go through 4 or 5 laps, you got 20 seconds on the field. It's very consequential, right? We talk about marginal gains in this sport. We usually refer to marginal gains in terms of your equipment, but you have to think about it in terms of your cornering ability too. And now this guy in front is going too hard. It just looks sloppy. Look how far back this guy is in the rear cam. It just looks a little sloppy. What are your thoughts on this, Brian, as a breakaway racer?
Yeah, no, I mean, same thing as before, as what Steve did to the other rider, is he just hammers it, and if you're a bike length or 2 off the back, you're not recovering. So even if you think you're pulling, part of your pull is to provide shelter, and you're not actually helping the breakaway succeed if you're not providing shelter to the riders behind you. And I was also concerned seeing how hard Steve hit it at the start on that opening lap. He was doing 900 watts, and I can't help but wonder if that's going to bite him in the butt here, because him and Tall Socks, Sergeant Mustache here they're trading pulls, and the rider behind
they've all but dropped him, right?
Yeah, he's just hanging on.
He's dangling.
Yeah,
that's called the pain dangle back there. A good rule of thumb, if you're in a breakaway, is I'm watching his power numbers. He's spending a lot of time at like either 0 or 700. A perfectly like well-oiled machine rotating breakaway is you being at maybe 50 or 60 watts below your threshold, and then maybe like 10 or 15 watts above your threshold when you're taking pulls. How does that sound? Are those numbers relatively close to accurate, Brian? Like something like that, right? You don't want these enormous swings in power, I guess is my point.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want it, because your body can't handle the high end power. And here's where it goes all AWOL here. He's out. He drops himself from the breakaway.
Oh, he blew a fuse. Yeah, like
that's it.
Wow, that was crazy. And then the other rider like kind of came back and took one more like hero pull on the front. But I don't know. I mean, they're learning, right? This is a novice race. It's amazing that they're even like attempting breakaway riding, because I was not even attempting. I didn't even understand the concept of it when I first started. So it's great to see how far the sport has come since I first started at this level, which is like the most elementary, basic level of bike racing. So that's cool, but a lot to learn as guys like Steve progress. And there's a lot that he can do better. He's going to see enormous improvements because his fitness is there. He just needs to figure out those little minor details of bike racing. Should we fast forward and see how the end of this race plays out?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
So that brings us into the final 2.5 kilometers of this race. We're going to be coming through 3 laps to go here. Don't forget, guys, these laps are incredibly short. And the race is all back together. Except one rider, and the keen-eyed among you, if we go back to when Steve was caught, will notice the CBRE rider who came barreling past Steve eventually just went right through the remnants of the breakaway and has been off the front solo for 20 kilometers. Now he's holding on to like a 3-second gap off the front. The last remaining rider being chased down by the pack here, getting ready for a field sprint. And let's talk a little bit about Steve's position. What are your thoughts here, getting ready for a field sprint, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, I was pleasantly surprised with Steve riding near the front as well as he was here. He also avoided that swarm pretty well there. If you could tell, the pack was getting a little spicy up on his left side. He maneuvered over to the left to kind of stay in front of that, and that's really important to kind of have your kind of the eyes on the back of your head, if you will, to know that swarm is coming. But yeah, coming into 2 laps to go here, being swiftly positioned in what, third place, you know, out of the danger of this pack, and we've seen how they've been cornering all day. I think he's smart here. You know, I think it's good. I think he's going to maybe be able to unleash that Zwift fitness, as long as he doesn't run into any other complications here in the last minutes of this.
And it seems like it's playing fast, this rider on the front, because like my thought was, first order business, we must catch the guy off the front, right? And it seems like it's plenty fast. I would be concerned that like this is a situation where a solo rider can just ride away, because nobody wants to get on the front and chase with a couple laps to go. But this guy on the front seems like he's willing to do a pretty big effort. And I'll echo what you said. Staying close to the front is important in these moments, especially on in the last couple of laps of a technical crit like this. Even if that means the draft isn't quite as good, you avoid all the riffraff behind you. You can take choice lines through corners, and you have visibility to what's going on. Sometimes things just get a little bit crazy in the last couple of laps. Speaking of which, he's able to respond to something like this. If he was crowded and back in the pack, you can't respond to stuff like this. And is this Mr. Mustache with the socks?
Yeah, this is Sergeant Stash. And
with 1 lap to go, this is it.
Yeah, and he's going 32 miles an hour through these corners, and I was like, oh man, he's going really tight through these corners. And then man.
Oh, he almost hit those cones too.
Oh my gosh,
that's scary. But this is like kind of what we were talking about earlier. Is Mr. Socks here was like, I don't think we're going to catch that guy, and he was willing to be like, okay, well, I'm going to go from 1 lap to go, which is not a bad idea on a course like this. But he's got a passenger, Steve, and Steve's got Zwift fitness for days, and he's got this ability to find these moments to follow riders, which, like, good on you, Steve. And oh my God, a crash!
That was the
CBR.
That was the solo rider. That was the solo rider.
And now Steve has been sitting in this guy's draft this entire time. This is the dream situation. From Zwift hero to in real life hero. Post up, baby, you did it. Stoked for you, Steve. Congrats on the win, man. That was such an exciting finish. I'm like standing up right now. I'm not even sitting down anymore, dude.
I mean, dude, clipped pedals and multiple riders crash. I mean, like, to be honest, I mean, I think if Sergeant Stash hadn't clipped his pedal, if he hadn't even taken the initiative, I don't know if they would have caught that solo rider. But then the solo rider felt that pressure and crashes himself out. Oh my gosh, drama.
I think he was caught. I think he was caught if he didn't crash, but it would have been close. Man, that was intense. So hopefully the CBRE rider is able to get up and walk away from that. He'll be doing well. He was off the front for 20 kilometers by himself. Obviously, congratulations to Steve. And Brian, great having you on, man. Best of luck in Paris.
Yeah, thanks again for having me, Jeff. Looking forward to the next one. Maybe we'll share a little bit more about my experiences over there.
Don't forget, guys, if you have footage that you want to share for Brian and I to talk about, run those GoPros, save the files, and we have a very simple uploader tool. I'll leave a link down in the description. It takes like 2 minutes of your time. But that said, catch you guys in the next one. We are racing up one of the steepest climbs in NorCal.
Oh my God.
I can't talk. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today with me is teammate Jackson. I'm the climber. And I'm the sprinter. Today, we are racing up one of the steepest climbs in NorCal, but there's a twist. Stay tuned. Okay, so let's talk about the segment really fast, because it is insane. This is Christmas Tree Hill in Larkspur, California. It's only 1.14 miles, but you're climbing 800 feet in just over a mile. Average grade is 13.3%. So you might be thinking, look, Jeff, it's not that steep of a climb, 13.3%. But the first half of it is like 5%. And then the second half is a sustained 18 to 20% with ramps that are upwards of 40%. That's right, over 40% in some sections. So absolutely leg breaking. Truly one of the hardest climbs here in NorCal. right, so we talked about the segment. Now let's talk about what we have to bring up that segment. Jackson, you want to start and talk about this beautiful red and black Eurobike?
Well, I've got the Eurobike. It weighs in at a light 36 pounds. But really his big advantage for the climb is the 3x drivetrain. My gearing is my advantage here. I've got a granny gear. I can bail out. Jeff, what do you got?
I do not have a granny gear. I have a 39 by 28. Yeah, 39 by 28. Jackson built this bike. Thank you, Jackson. This is the team bike. You guys have seen this on the channel quite a bit. Giant TCR. It is not particularly light for a race bike, but it's not 36 pounds. So I'm going to have a big advantage there. I'm going to be grinding because, as we mentioned, there are some incredibly steep ramps out there. So I'm going to need all the help I can get because Jackson's a good climber. Wish us luck. All right, we're about ready to go. Here are the rules, though. This isn't a time trial. This is a mass start. Two of us are starting.
I got mass.
No, but we're racing together up the hill, so it's going to be a little interesting. There's going to be some cat and mouse. I'm not going to tell him my strategy. I got a strategy. I'm big braining this year.
I got a tactic, yeah.
All right, well, shall we? Count us down, EJ.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
But first, real quick, I wanted to thank the sponsor of this video, and that is Bombas. Bombas sells the most comfortable socks. And also they give back. They have this amazing one purchased, one donated policy that gives back to those in need, because it turns out that socks are the most requested items in homeless shelters. So great company all around. They've already donated over 75 million items. And look, this happens in the background. You make the purchase, Bombas gets to work and brings them to the people in need. And I should mention, they sent me a few pair of their cycling performance socks. I've been wearing them. I rode them on this ride. They're manufactured with special materials in a special process to maximize airflow, ventilation, keep your feet dry and comfortable, even if you're doing a long ride. So check out the link down in the description if you want to support a great company. And with that said, back to the race. All right, Jackson, reviewing race footage now, and tell me, what was your strategy?
Well, I thought there were two different possible strategies that I could go with. I could go with the more conservative approach, which was conserving energy on the flatter, more 5% stuff, and then just trying to meter my effort on the steeper pitches, use the triple to my advantage, and then try to kick at the finish. Or I could go all out and try to drop you at the bottom or just completely demoralize you at the bottom. And you know, as Jai Hindley said in the Giro, we're not here to put socks on caterpillars, so I went on the aggressive strategy.
And you were avoiding cars in the meantime. That was I just remembered about that close call we had towards the bottom. But look at the power here. I mean, yeah, like you were really trying to get rid of me, and I was stubbornly not willing to get dropped because I did not want you to come in with a gap when we get into the steep stuff. Don't forget, guys, the bottom of this is like, it's still steep, right? It's still like 6-7%. You can see the bottom right, 5% here. But as the road goes on, as we get to the second half of the segment, we're going to kick up into like the 30%. And I think that's where the Eurobike is really going to bog you down.
I was trying to get in your head at this point, though. I wanted you to think that I had a lot more in the tank than I did, and then I thought I could meter myself from not blowing up using the triple when you'd be limited with a 39.28 or whatever you had.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see in a little bit. I was absolutely grinding, but down here I felt as comfortable as one can feel, averaging something close to 400. But it's not like I wasn't you in this situation. I was doing something close to 400. I finally see the front for like a half a second right here, and then you immediately come around.
You took the sharp inside line and surged up to 500 watts for a few seconds, and I kept it a little steadier on the outside.
Well, I'm a fast twitch crit boy. What do you expect? So, okay, so here we have your power overlay. I've plopped this on there. And this proves the point I was just making, which is like even on the lower slopes here, which aren't very steep, look at the power difference. I mean, you're in the 300s, I'm in the 200s right now. And that's only going to get exaggerated as the road kicks up. So you're doing a full like 50 to 100 watts more on the Eurobike, but you have a sick kickstand, so I guess it's not a total loss.
Yeah, that's only good when you're stopped, though, and I wasn't trying to stop.
Yeah. How you feeling? Did you remember this conversation?
Oh, yeah. I asked you how you were feeling, trying to get in your head a little bit, see if this was unsustainable for you. And
it was unsustainable for me, all right. I think I even told you that it was unsustainable. But the way you said it to me was so casual, like like, oh, this is no big deal. Like, we're gonna carry this to the top.
That was the plan.
And like, I knew that I couldn't carry this effort to the top, especially as it gets really steep and I just don't have the gearing for it. Because remember that, that's the setback on my equipment. Like, I have a much lighter bike, but you have the gears. I mean, the lighter bike is obviously the advantage in the situation overall. But I was really starting to suck wind right here, and then all of a sudden, what happened?
Well, we turned that corner. It pitched up to over 20%. I wanted to use that triple. I smacked that thumb shifter on the tops of the handlebar, and I dropped the chain.
Believe it or not, Eurobike does not have the most crisp shifting in the world.
No, they don't have a Di2 model yet.
It's in production, not quite yet. Sick thumb shifters, but that, what is that? That is like a good 10 or 15 seconds, which is pretty consequential on a 10-minute segment. So back on the power you go, and this ramp right here kind of defines the rest of this segment.
Oh, but Jeff, look at that cadence difference. You're in the 40s. I was in the 80s.
And I remained in the 40s, even as low as 30, if we fast forward a little bit, as I was just standing. I stood for 9 out of 10 minutes of this segment. So as we fast forward through this segment, I mean, you can see how steep some of these ramps get and how low both my power and my cadence get. I mean, your strategy to crush and demoralize me worked in the sense that I did not have the power to sustain that 400 plus watt effort all the way to the top. But the question is, could I hold the gap that your drop chain allowed me? And that brings us to 290 meters to go. I'm at a 30% ramp. I'm all the way down to 40 RPM, doing close to 400 watts. And guess who's clawed their way back up to my rear wheel? Jackson, how you feeling in this moment?
Well, that took just about everything. In this pitch, it says 17%. It felt steeper.
Oh yeah, it was close to 30. The GPS gets a little wacky, but you had to take a quick break.
I totally blew. It took everything I had to get back to you.
Dude, I couldn't believe it. I kept peeking back. I was like, okay, I got like 15, 20 seconds on it. And I was holding it. And then I looked back, and all of a sudden you were right there. I was like, holy crap. So you getting back onto my wheel was threatening for like 1 second until I realized, oh, he immediately blew up. So I just stayed on what I knew I could hold to the finish, which was, barely even 300 watts at this point.
39 RPM.
39 RPM, yeah, because my upper body and then just that low RPM, my lower back, everything was tweaked after this effort. But it was enough to get the job done, and we have EJ at the top giving us encouragement here. I barely made it. I mean, look, you're only like 50, maybe 100 meters behind me, but that represents like 30 seconds, right?
Oh,
Yeah, which is about the time of the drop chain.
Yeah, I mean, the weight of the bike definitely held you back, but it really came down to the drop chain. And look at your cadence. I mean, it seems like you still have a bunch of energy left over.
I don't know about that.
Come on,
I didn't
Jackson.
feel like I had a lot of energy left over. I gave it everything.
Yeah.
I'll have thoughts in a second. I just need to...
Arms are killing me.
I had to stop like halfway up and hold onto the fence.
I heard you like make a grunt.
All right, so I took it. I don't feel great about it. He dropped his chain.
So what makes this interesting is that we're roughly the same weight. We're both 160 pounds.
Yeah.
And the weight difference between the bikes is about 20 pounds, a little bit less than 10 kilos. So looking at watts per kilogram, watts per kilo, I've got to do 10 kilos worth of watts to be able to hold your wheel.
And on steep stuff like this, that's what it comes down to. It's not aerodynamics, it's not rolling resistance. It just comes down to watts per kilogram. And I think what we demonstrated today is like, okay, although I won, I think most of it had to do with the drop chain, it's the athlete. Like, Jackson's probably going to KO this in a couple of minutes when he tries it on his bike. It comes down to the athlete. He nearly beat me, probably could have beat me on the $300 bike compared to my $6,000 bike. So get out there and ride. I mean, if you have a $350 budget, this is a great place to start. And by the way, if you're on this bike and then you hop on a bike like this, it's going to feel like you said, taking the donut off your back, and you're going to feel like $1 million.
I'd be a little scared going there.
Jackson, great having you on.
Thanks for having me.
As always, guys, catch you in the next one.
Come on! Yes! Attaboy!
Hey, Fridge, did you know Auto Trader lets me shop for cars by monthly payment? So I know what I'll pay before I buy.
Cool.
Is that a refrigerator joke?
Keenan, chill.
All right, just stick to making ice. I didn't mean right now.
Oh my god.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back. So you remember the video from last week?
Oh my god.
Can't talk. Where I challenged my teammate Jackson on one of the steepest climbs here in NorCal, Christmas Tree Hill. I barely snuck out a win. I think that's probably because Jackson dropped his chain. Well, we're back a week later. Just kidding, we're back 10 minutes later through the power of editing, and we're gonna see if Jackson can take the Strava King of the Mountain, top the leaderboard on his team bike. How do you feel?
I think the lactate is fully fleshed out. I think I'm ready for another effort. The segment's hard. We know that. We just did it.
Yeah.
It is 1.14 miles at an average of 13.3%. But that 13% is a little misleading because the first third of it is only at 6% or so. That's where I was pulling at 470 watts trying to drop you. And after that, it kicks up to 30% repeatedly.
30%. Ramps that go even higher, so they really snipe your legs. I think a big part of it is like choosing when to use that energy for the KOM. The lower slopes, are you going to be after like you were during our effort?
No, I'm saving it for the steep stuff.
Yeah.
That's where the power matters. 913 is the current KOM.
And as a 160-pound young buck, what's the power number you're targeting?
I'd like to be over 400. Ideally 410 to 415, but average I don't think is as important as using the over 400 watt surges on the steepest parts.
Yeah. Well, enough talking. Let's jump on our bikes. I'm just kidding. Let me jump in the car. You jump on your bike. Let's see if we can take it. All right, guys. As Jackson's getting started here, I just wanted to remind you about the equipment checklist that we pushed out last week. I'm going to drop another link down in the description in case you missed it. It's totally free. We also have some hilarious behind-the-scenes bloopers from this video that we'll be pushing out in the coming days. So get on the email list. It's how we communicate with you guys. You get the first look at some amazing content we have coming up. So stay tuned. God, it looks so good.